Hello, good day everyone. So this is Joe Bren. So how are you? So for me, it has been a very busy week for me. So as promised, I'll be back. So I'll be back discussing our lesson number 4.1. This is our lesson 4.1, which is the part 2 of the subject special education. And we will continue discussing about the perspectives of mental retardation. So I hope you are all doing fine and Christmas is near. So Merry Christmas in advance and thank you so much for supporting my channel, for sending your likes, your feedbacks, and for your continued support on my channel. So thank you so much. Okay, so actually I have a good news for you. So I'm done with my master's degree in guidance and counseling and I have finished my book, my thesis writing. So thank you so much for that and thank you Lord for the blessings no every day and every hour of our lives. Okay, so this is our lesson 4.1. So we will be continuing our topic. So for today's I'll be discussing more about the causes of mental retardation. I know you are all familiar what is mental retardation. This is a developmental disability. This is not a trait. This is a developmental disability because we are we are affected by it before, during conception, during birth, and after birth. So that's why it is referred to us as a developmental disability. So one of the identified causes of mental retardation is possibly genetic. So this is called the cultural familial retardation. So possibly it is associated with a history of mental retardation in one or more family members. So there are specific and known causes in some cases of mild mental retardation. Okay, so that could be the reason of mental retardation. And because of mental retardation, students who are affected by mental retardation, they also have some deficits or they also have this term deficiency. So I deficits in cognitive functioning, meaning there is deficiency when it comes to intellectual functioning. There's also deficiency in memory, meaning they cannot use their working memory. They cannot comprehend their short-term memory, but they still remember more on the long-term memory. So that is deficiency in memory. They are good at remembering long-term memory compared to their working memory or the short-term memory. And the third identified causes of mental retardation or deficiency is deficits in adaptive behavior. So what do you mean by deficits in adaptive behavior? Take note that students with mental retardation, they are experiencing very low motivation. That's why if you are teaching kids with mental retardation, you should have very long patience with them because they show lack of interest in learning their lessons. And they really have a very short attention span. So that's why their level of learning is very slow. Okay, so there's also deficiency in adaptive behavior, meaning they cannot adapt easily to a certain things. They need our help and they need our ways of teaching them how to cope up with their own deficiency. Adaptive meaning they really find it hard to adapt to any social and physical environment because when you talk about adaptive behavior, so you are teaching them to adjust to a certain environment, but with students with mental retardation, they find it hard to adapt to us or to blend in because when you talk about adapting, it also entails using your own intellectual ability. So you need to make adjustment, you need to know how to be with other people, and it really requires a lot of skill to blend in with others. So students with mental retardation, they really find it hard to do it for themselves. Okay? So mostly students with mental retardation, they are likely to demonstrate significant deficits in adaptive behavior, meaning they really find it hard to adapt or to blend themselves to others, especially with more kids with mental retardation. Number one skill that we need to teach kids with mental retardation is how to do self-care and daily living skills. For us normal individuals, no, we can easily absorb and imitate people. It is very easy for us to imitate another person, but with mental retardation they really find it hard to absorb everything or to learn it by themselves and to imitate others. So that's why they really need our guidance, give them instruction, and teach them how to do self-care and how to manage their own selves without the support of others. That is self-care and daily living skills. Number two is social development. So if you are teaching kids with mental retardation, you need to teach them how to develop social development. Blending in and trying to be with others is also a skill. It is a social skill. But with children with mental retardation, they find it hard to develop or to do socialization. That's why if you are teaching kids with mental retardation, you need to teach them social development, like making friends and sustaining personal relationship. So those things for normal people like us, those things are just easy, no? They are just easy, making friends and sustaining personal relationship. But with children with mental retardation, they find it really difficult. Number three is behavioral excesses and challenging behavior. Again, students with mental retardation, they are more prone to inappropriate behavior, meaning they do a lot of things that they are showing a lot of inappropriate behavior. That's why we need to teach them how to do it properly. They have difficulties accepting criticism. So students or youth with mental retardation, they find it hard to accept criticism, judgment. They have limited self-control, and they also showed behavioral problems like being aggressive or self-injury or just hurting themselves. So those are the behavioral indicators and very challenging behavior when you are dealing with kids with mental retardation. We also have psychological characteristic. Again, students with mental retardation, they have a sub-average intellectual functioning. They have a slower psychological development, like toilet training, walking, so they really need assistance. So they are also, since they have a very slow psychological development compared to normal people like us, they often, because of their slower psychological development, they also experience a lot of physical problems. So those are the psychological characteristic of children and youth with mental retardation. Okay, they also have the positive characteristics. Although they have some difficulties relating to others, they experience a lot of very low motivation. But the advantage of students and youth with mental retardation, they also possess a positive characteristics. Okay, number one is they're very friendly, right? They are very friendly. They are very kind. So person with mental retardation, they also have their own unique characteristic. They are very lovable. Okay, well we always consider them as they are experiencing a lot of negative attributes, but many of them also possess a lot of positive characteristics like being friendly and kind to everyone. Okay, they can also be fun to be with, and when you are with them, with student and youth with mental retardation, we are also trying to do our own self-reflection and make us realize that we are so blessed. We are so blessed with our own lives, with our physical and psychological health. Okay, so they can be fun to be with and makes one appreciate one's normal attributes. Okay, so there are three assessments. So when you talk about dealing with kids with mental retardation, you need also to understand what are those assessment models that are being used in Western countries. So we have the traditional, the team-based, and the activity-based. So when you talk about traditional assessment is we are talking about the pre-referral form. So we will give them a pre-referral form and trying to ask about their family history and the development history of the child. So meaning we will just let the family fill it up. That is a perfect example of traditional assessment. And I know when you go to the doctor, they always ask us very simple questions about our family history. And I think that is very traditional. And up to now, we are still using that one. Okay, so after that pre-referral form, so the child and parents are referred to clinical practitioners for a thorough evaluation, intellectual, social, emotional, and physical development, and other significant information. So up to now, we are still using the traditional assessment. So it's very basic. How about the team-based assessment? So when you talk about the team-based, so from the word team, so we are working with a lot of people. So take note that children and youth with mental retardation, they are experiencing, also have their own other problems. So the team-based approach is described as multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, and transdisciplinary in nature. So we talk about multidisciplinary assessment is since we are working with a lot of people. So when you talk about multidisciplinary assessment is the individual team members independently assess the child and report results without consulting or integrating their findings with one another. Meaning we are assessing the child without consulting other people with regards to our assessment. So that is multidisciplinary assessment. Okay? The second is the interdisciplinary assessment. When you talk about interdisciplinary assessment, so we are working with the child and then our findings, so our individual findings are integrated together with the recommendation, meaning we are matching everything, no? So based on your individual findings, so we are integrating that with our recommendation. So for example, if your findings is this one, the child experiencing mental retardation, so what is your recommendation? That is interdisciplinary assessment. The third is, transdisciplinary assessment. So you talk about the transdisciplinary assessment, on the other hand, it allows other team members as facilitators during the assessment process, meaning we allow everyone to be part of the assessment process. So it is not all about me alone. We're also talking about trying to invite, especially, for example, if the parents of the child, the family, in the decision-making process. That makes it transdisciplinary assessment. So we are allowing team members as facilitators during the assessment process, considering also the family and the parents of the child. So that is transdisciplinary assessment. Okay? So when you talk about activity-based, so what is activity-based? Activity-based meaning from the word itself, activity, meaning we are teaching them a lot of activities to improve their own social development. So the activity-based model of assessment for young children with development delays or disabilities is better than the other models. So based on research, this activity-based assessment is very vital for students with mental retardation because, as you know, when you talk about mental retardation, they are experiencing a lot of delays like sub-average intellectual functioning. They have low motivation. They find it hard to make friends. So one way of developing that deficiency, deficits in cognitive, deficits in memory, deficits in adaptive behavior, is to let them experience that one, like the activity-based assessment, so that they can also develop with themselves how to develop children and youth with mental retardation. Okay, so we let them play, we let them socialize with others. So that is activity-based assessment. okay, for them to develop more. Because one of the reasons why we have this special education is to let children and youth with mental retardation to do mainstream, right, to include them in a regular class, so if they are capable to do it. So one of those, here are some suggestions for the special education teachers and the regular teachers. Number one is we need to learn how to conduct the IEP, or the Individualized Education Plan or Education Program. And we need to make agreement between the teacher and the SPED educator. Now, number two suggestion is we need to set regular meetings with each other and trying to talk about the progress or the development of the child. Number three is we need to encourage acceptance of the students by the classmates. So we need to tell their classmates that they also have a classmate that is special and they need our support. So we need to inform them so that they can also show their support to their other classmates. So the main goal of special education is to mainstream or to include those students with mental retardation to be part in a regular class. Okay, so number four suggestion is we need to use instructional procedures that will be benefit of the students. So if you have a student with mental retardation, as a teacher, you need to be diverse. You need to improve your way of teaching. You need to improve your instructional procedures that will benefit everyone, not just the normal kids, as well as the kids with mental retardation. Okay, the fifth suggestion is when teaching abstract concept, we need to provide multiple concrete examples. So take note that learning is a very challenging for students with mental retardation. So as a teacher, you need to supplement or to give a lot of techniques on how to deal with your kid with special needs. Supplement verbal instruction with demonstration. So the best way for students with mental retardation to learn a lot is to tell them what to do and to give them a lot of demonstration process so they can just follow. Okay, number 7 is assign a peer tutor to assess the students during independent activities. So if there are activities that they need to do it alone. So for students with mental retardation, they need to have another person, a peer tutor, to assess them on how to do it alone. So number 8 is we need to be diverse. We need to vary the tasks in drills and practice activities. So it's more about practice because for me, the best way for students and youth with mental retardation to learn is to keep on teaching them how to do it. Okay, so it's a very challenging task, but they are part of our educational system. Children and youth with mental retardation, they are part of our educational system. And number 9 is we need to encourage the use of computer-based tutorials and computer-based materials. Okay, so if you're doing class lectures, we need to utilize the lecture to pause technique. So when you teach them, you pause, you teach them, you pause, and so that students with mental retardation, they can always follow and try to absorb all the learnings that you are teaching them. Okay, so there are a lot of techniques on how to teach kids with mental retardation. We need to pair students with the normal ones, with the non-disabled, and with mental retardation. We need to encourage regular students to assess the students with mental retardation. So we need to be open to them. We need to use cooperative learning strategies. So as a SPED teacher, we need to be diversified. We need to change as if it is really important to change your style of teaching, because there's a possibility that it will be integrated, no? So you will be dealing with the normal individuals at the same time once they are mainstreamed in a regular class. So you need to make some adjustment when it comes on your teaching style. So take note, regardless of a person's level of functioning, special class, special students, they are part of our educational system. Although there is a delay when you talk about mental retardation, but if all in all, they are accepted and they are loved because of this special education. Okay? So for students and kids with mental retardation, regardless of a person's level of functioning, as special students, they have a right to a basic special education. They're also part of our educational system. It's and we need to help them as a future educator for SPED. If you're planning to become a SPED teacher, it is our role to help them cope up with their own deficiency and in such a way that these students can also be mainstream in a regular class. And that is our goal as a teacher. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that you get something out of this very quick discussion. Thank you so much and God bless you. I'll see you again for my next vlog. Thank you and God bless.